Look at Rose. I can tell that you want to be the Statue of Liberty for your landmark project. Look at you, holding your tablet. I don't think that's the right kind of tablet, Rose, but okay, I got it. Beautiful crown. It's time for us to find out some information about the Statue of Liberty, babes. Good job, Honey Rose. Welcome back, fourth graders. Wow, did you see how excited Honey Rose was to show you her project idea? She decided that she wanted to do some research on the Statue of Liberty and use that for her project in the Northeast region. You're going to be hearing about these projects throughout the week and working on them. Mrs. Husong is actually going to be taking you through the steps of the project. Mr. Van Horn is going to also be walking you through ways to get research. But today we're going to focus on some of the things that we might find as we start to read, some interesting facts or figures or things that are part of, remember, nonfiction, which is real and true. So some nonfiction text that we're going to take a look at and find out what things we can put down for notes to help us on this project. So depending on which project you choose, which landmark you decided on, this research, this note-taking will look different. I'm just going to share with you an example because, well, let's face it, Honey Rose really wants to do the Statue of Liberty. So I'm going to do the Statue of Liberty with my note-taking, but if you're doing the Niagara Falls landmark out there in New York, then you'll be looking for research and information in different sources. Mr. Van Horn is actually going to go through that a little bit with you today about how do I find information? Where do I go to? Besides just the TAN booklet and the notes we've been taking in class and some of those videos that we've been watching of these different landmarks and places around the Northeast. So if you are doing the Niagara Falls landmark, or for example, the White House in Washington, D.C., or maybe you decided to do New York City, and you wanted to write about and do a project on Times Square or just the attractions that are in New York City, then you'll be taking some different notes. But I kind of want to share with you how this might look or how it would go for you. There's lots of different ways of taking notes. I'm just going to share with you this one with the Statue of Liberty. What you see here is one article of many. There are books and books and books about the Statue of Liberty. Lots of articles about the Statue of Liberty. You can research and get tons of information about the Statue of Liberty, but I'm going to start with just this one-page article titled The Statue of Hope and get some information that I can get started with for interesting facts, figures, notes about this particular landmark. For many people, the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of hope. But why is this statue so important? The Statue of Liberty was built in the 1880s. In my head as I'm reading, I'm thinking, that sounds like an important fact that I might come back to. Since that time, millions of immigrants have come to the United States. An immigrant is someone who comes to live in a foreign country. Immigrants had come from all over the world. Until the 1920s, many immigrants came from Italy, Germany, Ireland, Poland, and Russia. Some of them left their homes because they could not practice their religion freely. Others left their homes because their government was too harsh. All of them hoped to find a better life in the United States. These immigrants took boats to get to America. The first thing many immigrants saw when they got to America was the Statue of Liberty. The statue stands for freedom and democracy. The woman holding the torch is called Lady Liberty. She holds this torch to guide people to freedom. She also wears a crown. This crown has 7 spikes. The spikes represent the 7 seas and the 7 continents of the world. As I'm reading, of course, there's all kinds of things I'm starting to see as possible facts, but I'm going to keep on reading. I want to get to the end. To this day, the Statue of Liberty stands as a hopeful symbol of freedom. Many people from all over the world visit the statue. Immigrants to the United States today, they do not pass by the Statue of Liberty when they get to the country, but many people continue to immigrate to the United States hoping for a better life. Now, besides the actual article, there's also a photograph, and we know that from text features and photographs, there's usually a caption. Sometimes the caption, like with our Revolutionary War article, was kind of in amongst the picture. This one is down below. It says, "This is a photo showing a closer look at Lady Liberty's face, torch, and crown." So now that I've read through this article, I'm going to start to think about what things in here do I want to keep track of in my notes. And I've created a page. I just titled it Statue of Liberty, Notes and Chart of Facts and Figures. So if you would, in your notebooks, you can make a page then that goes along with your project. Let's say you're going to do Times Square. Maybe you're going to title it Times Square, Notes and Chart of Interesting Facts and Figures. Maybe the White House is your thing. You're going to do a landmark for the White House. You're going to do that as your project. So up here, you would title it The White House, Notes and Chart, or Notes of Interesting Facts about the White House. Or just about Washington, D.C., or about New York City. Whatever it is that you've decided on as your project, maybe it's Niagara Falls, you're going to use that to title your page of notes. And there's lots of different ways to take notes. So we'll talk about this as one possible way to do this. All right, based on this article then, I made a chart. I titled the column here, Parts of the Statue of Liberty, and what does it stand for or symbolize? I put down 3 things that I know are really important. They're obvious. We see a torch, we see a crown, we see a tablet. I know that they're very important parts of the statue, and I know that they stand for something because it says that these things stand for things. They symbolize things. In fact, I know from the beginning of this reading, it says the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of hope. So this is a very symbolic statue. So I'm going to keep track of the parts of the statue within this chart right here. Now, maybe your landmark, your project, you don't have any kind of chart that's helpful for you. Maybe you do some on Times Square, and so you're just going to do some bulleted points down the side. Or maybe you're just going to number your notes. Or maybe you fill in a bunch of Post-it notes and stick them on a page as you come up with something that's interesting, some interesting fact. But I decided that this is a good way to organize the parts of the Statue of Liberty because there's so many symbolic things about this particular landmark. If you want to use this or take this idea and go with it, feel free. Basically, it's yours to look at in your assignment page. The Post-it notes are down here. I'm going to start to add to this tomorrow. Come up with some more notes of things that are interesting with the Statue of Liberty with a different reading. And as we go along with this project, step by step, day by day, realize that there's no one right way. There's just ideas of how you can kind of organize your thoughts and put your notes in a way that you can understand and read them later. All right, well, good luck. Have fun researching your projects. Mrs. Husong and Mr. Van Horn will continue talking to you about different parts of this project as we go forward. We'll see you tomorrow.